Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. Well, I'm excited about this one because I've been meaning to do it for years actually, and finally remembered to get to it. And here's the funny thing I'd like to share with you. Long before I started my YouTube channel, I used to share information like this on Facebook quite frequently. And horseradish was one of the ones I broke down and shared the benefits of. And here's the funny thing about that, is that I had this one person that I knew in real life that was following me on Facebook that hadn't spoke to me in years, hadn't interacted on my posts until they saw that particular one. And all they had to say was, horseradish is toxic in large quantities, and which I thought was really silly because, first of all, who eats large quantities of raw horseradish at a time? And also, it kind of goes back to, and I've shared this in other videos before, it goes back to the whole idea of this mentality that we have. And this was someone who got into the healthcare profession and seems to highly believe in modern medicine. And so I think it's funny that we can easily discredit something that might be toxic in high quantities, yet have a long list of benefits, while easily accept something that has a long list of terrible side effects that only might help with whatever condition it's being prescribed for. I went ahead and did a little research. It took me quite a while, going through quite a few pages, where I finally found a place where it said that it might be toxic in its raw form if consumed in high quantities. But then it comes back to the whole thing, who consumes horseradish raw in high quantities at a time? That's unheard of. Now, before I get on to the benefits of horseradish and its uses, let me remind you all that I have a playlist that I've been building since I first started my channel in 2016. So there's a good number of videos in there that I'll be linking to in the description box down below, of all the herbs, seeds, roots, anything that I've covered and done just like this, where I've done a profile and shared the benefits and the uses of it, or even how I use it. So I just want you to know that. So if there's anything that I may already have in the list, be it dandelion, calendula, holy basil, black seed, so many more, and you're curious about that, then check out that playlist and you can scroll through there and find the one that intrigues you the most. So let's start off with the nutrients that you're going to find in your horseradish. So we're talking calcium, fiber, folate, manganese, magnesium, potassium, vitamin C, and zinc. So let me read about the benefits that you can find from horseradish, be it in its raw or cooked form. Usually raw form, you're going to find most benefits though. But some people might benefit more from cooking it first. So anyway, it is a natural antibacterial. It helps to clear mucus like any of your really powerful brassicas like this. This applies to wasabi and other types. They're all in the same family. It boosts circulation. It helps with weight loss. It speeds up metabolism. So that goes hand in hand with the weight loss. So obviously if it's speeding up your metabolism, it's going to help with weight loss. But usually also anything that's pungent, strong flavor, strong odor is very helpful. Anything you can get a lot of flavor from, a lot of smell from when you're consuming it. So if you enjoy horseradish, that's one of the reasons it helps to prevent overeating, because if you're getting lots of flavor and lots of good aroma, you're not as likely to overeat. It supports your immune system. It has anti-cancer properties. It is a natural diuretic and also helps with digestion. It helps to prevent and heal urinary tract infections. Applied topically, it can be good for pain and inflammation. So this would be something you might want to consider putting in your joint and muscle rub. I personally have not tried it, but I do have a recipe out there on joint and muscle rub. And I don't believe I mentioned horseradish in there because I hadn't thought of it, but that would be another option to add to that oil infusion. So you could either put it in as a powder and leave it in there, or you could slice it up, dehydrate it. Whenever you're doing an oil infusion, you always want to use dried herbs, and then let it infuse in the oil with whatever other herbs you're infusing in that oil. So you can check out that recipe video and consider the horseradish as something to add. I'll put that in the description box down below. It's also very good for respiratory health, and also applied topically to the scalp, it can help prevent and cure hair loss. And that works the same way as any of your other herbs like that. Because if you've got something that's warming like cayenne pepper or horseradish, what it does is it increases the circulation. And whenever you can increase circulation to your scalp, that's very beneficial at helping to prevent and reverse hair loss. And that also includes massaging. So massaging any kind of oil into your scalp is helpful. But I do cover that and more in the video I have about hair loss that I'll be also linking to in the description box down below. Now let's talk about some ways that you can use horseradish. Now, one way I haven't done in a long time, I keep saying I'm going to make it again, but I haven't done it in years. And that is making fire cider. Now, I don't have a video on this because I haven't made it since before I started my channel, but I do have an old photo I'll show you. And the way people do their fire cider all varies. I liked to blend mine up so it was very, very fine, and then add the vinegar in there. And the ingredients in that included raw horseradish, raw ginger, hot peppers, really of any kind. I used jalapenos back when I did that. It was back before I was growing my own peppers. Raw garlic, and the strongest onion you can get, which is typically going to be a good, powerful white onion. And most people would cut that up, pour the vinegar over it, and let it sit for, I can't even remember how long you let it sit, but you let it sit for a while. So all the goodness from those roots that you put in there and other things would infuse into the vinegar, and then they would strain it off. But that's not how I did it. I actually processed it all up together, put the vinegar in there and let it sit for a period of time. Maybe it's 2 weeks. I can't remember. It's been so long since I've done it. And then I would just eat it with a spoon. I didn't strain the liquid off and drink it. I ate it with a spoon, and I actually really liked it because I like that kind of flavor, because I love kimchi and it kind of reminded me of kimchi. But there's different ways to do it, and I'm sorry I don't have a video. Maybe one of these days I'll make it again and do a video on it. But anyway, that is one way. A lot of people take the fire cider, which back when I was making it, we called it a health tonic or healing tonic. People would take it when they felt any kind of illness coming on, or they would take it much like some people would do with the elderberry syrup as a preventative measure when illnesses were going around. Take a spoonful or a shot of that every day to help prevent that or to heal up. And I remember reading and hearing testimonies of people who got sick, started taking the fire cider, and immediately were just healed them right up. So, and you got to realize too, though I believe all these testimonies, different people will react differently to different things, and not everybody should have the same thing. Not everybody should have horseradish. It could be because of allergic reactions. It could be because of other health conditions, which I'll cover here in just a bit. So another way that you can take horseradish is if you powder it up like I have here. This is from my own homegrown horseradish that I dehydrated and powdered up. You can take it in a capsule form. And since this is raw and not cooked, that's where you got to be a little more careful if you have specific health issues such as hypothyroidism. You want to just really watch your intake. And if you're taking it in a dried form, you can go 20 grams per day. You can weigh it out and encapsulate it and then go by that. So 20 grams a day if it's dried like I have here. If it's fresh, then it's 3 to 4 grams a day. Some other things you can consider doing is if you like horseradish, just start incorporating it more into your meals. So what I did here, this was my first year doing this, and I don't know why I hadn't thought of it before, was it just kind of came to me, why not dehydrate my horseradish? Because I always forget about it, and I haven't found another way I prefer to preserve it, to have it readily available to me when I get a craving for horseradish. So I thought to powder it up, just add some water and quickly make up some horseradish I can eat with whatever I want it with, or even sprinkle the powder into or on whatever food I'm eating that I think I want that flavor in. And then there's also the option of making a horseradish sauce, which is going to be a lot more mild. It's not going to be near as strong as just adding the water to the horseradish. You can look up recipes for that out there, but it does involve adding more stuff to it and maybe making a creamy horseradish sauce like you can buy at the store. Those are good. I like a nice strong horseradish, so I may or may not make a sauce out of it someday, but that is something to consider if you like the flavor. But eating it just the horseradish without it mixed with other things might be a little too potent for you. So there's just a few ways that you can consume it or take it or, add it to your diet, whatever. But let me cover a few things that you want to consider before you start getting into consuming your horseradish. So as I mentioned earlier, if you have hypothyroidism, if your thyroid is low functioning, horseradish is a brassica, which means any of your brassicas, your broccoli, your cauliflower, all these things must be cooked first so you can cook out the goitrogens, because it's the goitrogens that are going to make your thyroid even more sluggish. If you're trying to heal your thyroid, then you want to avoid consuming any of this stuff raw. So I consider this raw because I dehydrate at 115 degrees. I don't go any higher than that. And I tried mixing it with water, and it's very strong, just like I took it straight out of the ground. But if you're really trying to heal your thyroid, like we did 10 years ago, we went off our thyroid medications, and I avoided all eating any brassicas in its raw form for a period of time. Now I'm not afraid of it. I still don't like to overconsume it, obviously. I try to be careful of that, but I'm not afraid of having raw cabbage or whatever, like making kimchi, because kimchi is in its raw form. So that doesn't concern me anymore because I'm long past that. It's been 10 years since we took ourselves off the medication. I think most of this is really going to apply to consuming it in any raw form. That would be if you have kidney disease, children under the age of 4, if you're pregnant or nursing, if you have peptic ulcers or gastritis, which is kind of understandable because it is such a strong root, but it's also good for digestion. So it's just going to depend on what health condition you might be dealing with. And if there's any other health conditions where you're unsure, just look it up for yourself. I also have a video I did on how to research these things for yourself that I'll link to down below, because I don't have all the answers, because I research things a little at a time and then start compiling the information. And I'm not a doctor, I'm not a healthcare professional of any kind, and so I can't give you advice for every ailment that you have. You need to learn how to research it for yourself, just like I did when I was really trying to figure out if it was possible for us to go off the thyroid medication, and if so, how can we go about it? Because I strongly believed we could, and it was a lot harder to find that information 10 years ago than it is now. So it took me a lot of research to finally get down to the bottom of it. And if you're interested in our story, we did a video, Patrick and I together, back in 2018 on how we took ourselves off the thyroid medication. I typed up a whole list of foods and supplements you can add, and things that you should eliminate and things that you should cut back on. And so I have that all typed up, as well as sharing our story. And then I also did an update video this last year on the thyroid, where I also talked a little bit about Hashimoto's and hyperthyroidism. So I'll link to both of those down below. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and don't forget, if you want to access the links that I'll be putting in the description box, if you're on a computer, look right down below the video. You'll see a horizontal rectangular box, and you'll see some of the words in there, but that's not the whole description box. In order to see everything, you got to just click anywhere within that box, and it'll open up the whole description box to find our links and all that information, contact information, and so on. And if you're on a smart device, it should be a little gray arrow over on this side or something. I know it can be different for each different smart device you use, but for me, when I use on the iPhone at least, I know it's just a little gray arrow right here. You just touch that and it will open up the description box to find the links. And please share with us in comments, do you use horseradish medicinally? Do you cook with it? What are your favorite ways to use or to take horseradish, and how has it helped you? All right, well, thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.